It is Saturday. Welcome to Tome Talk, brought to you by blackdeserttome.com. I am Brinzel, and we are back in action. I missed you guys last week. I hope everybody had a great Christmas and a fucking wonderful New Year. I know mine was special. How about you guys? Everybody good Christmas? Santa visited?
Not too bad. Got to see moms, so that was pretty nice.
Yeah, fine in Russia also.
I didn't have a Christmas. I had a New Year's though.
I'm not
for just another day.
I'm not gonna lie, Zemi. I was really disappointed when Santa Zemi didn't visit me in the hospital, dude. I really am.
You know, I actually did stream, but the problem was like I got really drunk on Christmas, and I got home and I was just like, oh man, I totally should. I passed out for like a good 3-4 hours before I started streaming, and by then I had sobered up.
Yeah, I hear that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as you've well noticed, we have a guest today, BTJ, coming to you from RU. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your streaming history, and who you are, buddy.
Yeah, what's up guys? I'm BTJ, aka Blow This Joint. I usually stream on the Russian server and in Russian, so you probably don't know who I am, yeah. And I can call myself probably the veteran of this game since I've been playing like from the very first start of the Korean OBT from the first day, and till now I play on the Russian server. That's pretty much it.
All right, awesome, man. Well, thanks for coming out and joining us. We got a lot of stuff in store. Hopefully we're going to make this a hot topic show today. We'll play a little Russian roulette. Ha ha ha. Horrible pun. Get things... Yeah, puns. Punny. I'm going to be punny today, guys. I'm going to be punny. So, first up... Where to begin? So GameNet recently had a closed beta test for their new P2P server. You can almost buy all cash shop items for silver or via mob drops. You guys think that's a good idea for NA?
100%, 100%. Because I honestly, I've been hoping for that since the beginning, like when I even heard that Black Desert was coming to NA, and you know, anyone who watched the stream, you know, I was all up in arms about it. I was like, you know, NA needs a good pay-to-play game. Like, I don't want to see pay-to-win. You know, people who watch my stream, I've asked my stream, and I gotta say, like, I've gotten a lot of positive feedback about that. Like, a lot of people have agreed that they definitely want to see a pay-to-play game, not too expensive, but something where, you know, everybody kind of wins. And honestly, I actually talked to, I actually had a little quick survey with my viewers a couple of days ago, and we were just kind of like hashing out stuff. And, you know, a lot of people were like, yeah, I'd be more than willing to pay, you know, $10 a month easy, and you know, being able to buy most of the stuff on the cash shop, and even having buying most of the stuff on the cash shop via the NPC, and even having cheap costumes, you know, on the cash shop, and still having a cash shop there, just, you know, very, very minor stuff on the cash shop, and you know, $10 a month, and you know, $10-15 costumes, and a lot of people were definitely agreed to it. So
Yeah. Can you... I know you got some experience with pay-to-play stuff. Just a little?
Yeah.
Just a tiny...
I got
tiny?
a few things with pay-to-play. The one thing I really do like about pay-to-play, though, it gives people the option that really don't have an income, don't have a job. Maybe they're young, maybe they're in school. You can now earn your silver and get something that you want on the cash shop. Something like that helps out tremendously. Just taking out any of the factor of pay-to-win, pay-to-play, or anything. Just something simple like that. That helps out the player and shows that, hey, we're a business, we want money, true, but we want you to have a game that's fun for you, that you can get the things that you want, and you don't have to spend all that money. So something doing it like this, I think, is going to be one of the best ways to come to the NA market, I think. I know Guild Wars did a similar system, if I'm not mistaken, where you could buy the gems and then buy the things off, or you could even sell the gems. That way was all right, too. It worked out for the better, but in theory, I think that this would actually be one of the best case scenarios that they could bring to the NA market.
Right, and I agree with you on that one. For a bit of it, I mean, annihilating it so that there's a cash shop that is just perks and bonuses that purely advance people with a fat stack wallet. We've seen that in several other games that it was unfortunate the way that that went. I'm all for it, man. If you want to make it an equal balance thing, why not? I mean, I don't want to take my wallet out and swipe my stripe. I earned that money hard. I bought a game. I want to go in. I want to make some cash in the game and go buy some shit. Why not? BTJ, you've actually experienced some of this, haven't you?
Yeah, but the problem was like we had the CBT of that server like a week ago, but that server was supposed to actually open with the free-to-play server. They were late 3 months, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they delayed it about 3 months, and that totally killed the community just because like half of the community is going to stay on the free-to-play server and half is going to go to a pay-to-play server. And that means that the game will have much lesser people. I mean, we still lack on a lot of players after Medea, and now there's gonna be much less, so I don't actually know where we're going with this. But the pay-to-play server is actually good. I was considering like playing on it before free-to-play, but then they delayed it until March actually. If I'm not mistaken, they're gonna launch it in March, and there's gonna be another CBT in February. But I can't be correct on that. I don't know.
Okay, so that leaves some stuff to be desired and some open spots for possibilities still. Buzz, what are your thoughts and processes?
Well, I think BTJ nailed it on the head. If they are going to do it and offer it, it needs to be from the beginning. Day one, have a choice of either subscription or free to play with Cash Shop. Because if they stagger it, then they're going to milk people. You know, I'm not going to sit there and dump a lot of money on costumes and everything else on a free to play. And then it's like, oh, here's a subscription where you can get all of these things. And then I guess it's you run into a future issue of, say somebody played on the subscription and that just dies. So now they're able to move over and they've acquired a lot of stuff that they couldn't have. I've got mixed emotions on it. Yes, it would be really nice to be able to just pay $15 and not have to worry about whales or any of that. But I don't really care about whales. You know, as long as there's no paywall barrier that I can't get that item eventually on my own, I don't care if somebody spends money. They're supporting the game as a whole. But like I said, if they're going to do it, they need to do it from the beginning. If not, just leave it alone.
I can agree with that totally. The only thing is, they need to make a decision on either pay to play or pay to win. They need to make a decision on which one they want to go with. I don't want them to have to split it, because I think that's going to cause too much animosity. It's going to cause too much of a rift in the games and the service themselves, I think.
Well, I tell you, if they're going to do split servers instead of subscription or free to play, I'd much rather have, say, like a hardcore PvP server and then one that's, you know, more tuned if they're going to split the communities up like that. But like I said, you can see what BTJ said, that since they delayed it and it's going to separate and split the community up more and more. So it's something they have to do at the beginning.
I think, you know, it's gonna be one of those things. My harsh reality on this with anything where you're paying subscriptions or pay to play is you get a lot of game developers that go out, they make this fabulous game, they start it off, they rope you all in with your free trial or with your, you know, free to play, and then they skip over and hop into a pay to play scenario. And when they hop into that pay to play, you know that you've got 100,000 people dumping that kind of money into it, but a lot of the times I don't see the games progressing. You're not seeing anything more. You're not seeing improved server stability. You're not seeing a benefit from your investment. At that point, I look at it like you're making an investment to play the game, right? Like it's just, you're not getting a return on it. I'm not getting a better gameplay experience.
I can understand where you're coming from that, but you know, I've always had a firm belief that, you know, a pay to win cash shop or a cash shop in general, that this, you know, game that's free to play to with a cash shop versus a pay to play, you know, you tend to have developers go the, okay, well, let's see, a pay to play is more substantial and normal cash flow every month. Like it's constantly going. It doesn't fluctuate. You'll lose some subs here and there, but it normally doesn't fluctuate. It stays the same. Whereas a cash shop, you tend to have a lot of spikes. You put something new on the cash shop, bam, you got a lot of people buying it, and then it just drops off. And then you wait until the new stuff comes up, and then what developers start seeing is like, well, okay, well if I keep putting stuff on the cash shop, people are going to keep buying, and I'm going to keep trying to get that spike, and I want to keep that spike. So what happens is developers start developing for the cash shop and not developing for the content.
I completely agree with you on that. Now, the other side of that too, and I mean, sorry about that. This is a thing that hits with me, and when you're starting to talk of it in the aspect of looking at our games as investments, especially when we're starting to put a currency into them, I can list off the top of my head probably 4 or 5 games that I still force myself to go back and play because of the stupid amount of money that I've dropped into them. It's a good hook. It's a very good hook because you're indebted into that game. You have dropped, I don't know, let's say like $50. Maybe you've dropped $800. But now it comes time and it's time to walk away from that game. Dude, how hard is it to walk away from that game? Really, I still play, like, I know people are going to shit on me. Like, I still play APB because I got money invested in that. Buzz, I know you had something put in regards to this whole thing too.
Well, it's touching on with what you said, Brenzel, that when a player makes an investment, they're more than likely to stick around. And I'm thinking of it in terms of being a community leader. If your members on your roster are paying that monthly subscription, then they're going to probably be there, as long as that subscription's going. Whereas if it's a free-to-play games are just transient. That's what they are. So that's one of the, I guess, things to consider, with that, as far as you're looking at community. If you have a sub base, then you know that you've got committed members.
Right. And I agree with you. You get committed members and stuff like that. I also get concerned. I know that there are a lot of people in previous guilds that we've been in that don't have cash to throw into games, and they feel really down and out on things because there's certain stuff that they can get through an advantage of that they can't afford. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see the outcome of it and all of that. So I see rolling through the chat, there's a lot of I'm going to call it the Mega Server 2016 debate going on right now. Let's dive down the rabbit hole. Why the fuck not? Happy New Year. I went there. I did it. I got the first one out. You're laughing. I see you laughing at me, Zemi. Yeah, it happened. It's going to happen, people. It's 2016. I'm in for a good year. Yeah, okay, I'm done. BTJ, what are your thoughts on the mega servers?
Well, actually, I see a lot of discussions on the European forums about the mega server, that it's, the thing that shouldn't be on EU and NA, but, it kind of feels good having a mega server. For example, on Russia, we have, like, multiple ways we can interact with other guilds. We have, like, 4 channels that sieges are held at, so, like, the mega server, like, all of the players in Russia can actually participate in the same sieges, and we're not divided. Like, if you're, for example, if you took Calfian, you know that you're the one held in Calfian in the whole server in Russia. So yeah, that's, I don't know, for Guild Wars it's better, but there's a slight problem with the mega server. For example, in Russia, having a mega server and the auction house in one place, like, people start grinding and stuff for rare items, and then just sell them for real money. That's the problem with Russia. Just because it's pay to win, it's more easy to get the items. For example, earrings and stuff, rings, which are, like a rare drop. But the more people play, obviously, the more people have that drop, and they actually sell Zaka weapons and jewelry stuff for real money. Like, for example, a guy dropped a Zaka weapon, and then he kind of finds a customer to actually sell the Zaka weapon for real money, and once he has the money, he puts it on the auction house, and the other guy buys that thing. So yeah, that's the problem on Russia. The mega server is just, bad just because of the auction house. In other meanings, it's just great, just because you have a lot of guilds that you can actually war with, and the sieges are divided, not divided, they're all in one place. So yeah, I'd rather prefer, if I go to Europe or somewhere, I'd rather prefer them to have a mega server and not divide the community at all.
So how many channels are actually there with you guys?
If I'm not mistaken, it's 5 groups of channels, and everybody has 4 channels and 1 war channel per each, so it's like 25. Yeah, it's 25 channels. But they always like cut the channels. For example, at the start of the server we had 40 channels, and now we have 25, and they're gonna cut that more, so just because the community becomes smaller.
All right, well,
I want to go ahead and chime in on this. So I have talked to a few Russian players like Karpov and a couple other ones that I'm sure you know, BTJ. But
yeah, Karpov is from my guild.
yeah, he used to be in support. So on the KR servers, and one thing he can agree on, like he used to be in INF, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was INF.
Yeah. So he switched to us.
Yeah, he was in INF, and support and INF were in a huge war against each other before the mega servers. I mean, I'm talking, we fought for hours on end every day, and when the mega servers happened, and this was with a couple other guilds as well. When the mega servers happened, it died. Like, we couldn't find each other. We could never really find the guilds, and it was awful. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons. Like, especially a lot of us Korean players, people who play on the Korean servers, is that we're really really worried about seeing that happen on the NA. And that was our biggest fear. Now, like I said, I have talked to some Russians, and I do know that it has worked somewhat successful. And I mentioned it, I believe, last episode or the episode before, that I think the only way a mega server is going to work out properly is if that we specifically have people on Dom's side paying attention to the servers and paying attention to the population, and having some type of algorithm that is going to constantly open and close the servers based on the population. Otherwise, if you have it how it is on the Korean version, where we've got 24 channels and you can't find a single person that you're at war with, it's pretty
Well, there was a
annoying.
problem with that, just because, like, the Korean mentality. They just don't want
Yeah.
to PvP. That's the problem. But Russians, like, we're into PvP. We don't dodge it just because to leave a channel. Well, it's just like everybody wants to PvP, that's all. If you even come to a spot where a guy is grinding mobs, he'll be in some PvP. He won't even leave the channel for like a half an hour or something. And maybe he'll bring his guild, and more people will come. And there you have a 50-50 or a 100 and 100, guild versus guild. So yeah, it's probably based on the mentality. I don't know how it's going to be on EU, but for Russia, I mean, we don't dodge PvPs. That's why mega server is good for us. Like, a lot of channels, nobody cares, just because you can switch them, but nobody dodges the PvPs, so it's okay for us.
Yeah, but I mean, we stayed at war, and I wouldn't say that it was just like dodging PvP. It's just more of like we just couldn't find people. I remember hunting down some other guilds that we were at war with, and spending 3, 4, 5 hours just looking for people, just going to these the main farming spots, and then can't find them here, so I'm gonna switch channels. Going on again. Nope, can't find them here. Switching channels again, and it was just it became unfun, like completely unfun. And
Yeah, same thing
like,
fucking happened to us on Korea when we played.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I was there with Zemi when we had that before the mega server. That's when I was still in support, and there were good fights. We had them. It wasn't hard to find the good fights, but after the merge, if you notice, like on Korea now, literally every channel is kind of a ghost town. There's way too many channels, and if they're going to go the mega server, like Zimmy said, they're either going to have it set up automated to where they can adjust and say, okay, the population's down, we're closing this channel, and pick a new one in 15 minutes, or have somebody manually doing it, because Guild Wars, you're just playing whack-a-mole trying to track down where they're at in a 15-minute cooldown. that combined with the karma system, they really need. I personally wish that the penalties for negative karma were gone. Being able to lose enchants are just way too harsh. But that's kind of, like I said, my thought on the mega server. They have pros and cons with each, but it would be nice to get an official answer as soon as possible, maybe when people get back from Korea next week, as to what the plan is going to be. So as a community and smaller communities, we can start planning accordingly.
Well, about the PK system, I kind of want to input a bit about that. Well, in Russia, it's actually awful just on on Korea. I mean, on Korea you have, if I'm not mistaken, is it like minus 200 karma?
200k, yeah.
Yeah, on Russia you have like minus 60 karma, 60k. But that's still awful just for, it kills so much PvP just because you can't actually come and fight people. I mean, like, they want to fight you also, but the problem is there is no, there was a good system of PvP in Lineage, if anybody played the Lineage 2 system. It was like, if you hit somebody, if he answers you, he's also flagged, so you won't get minus karma. But if he doesn't answer you, doesn't hit you back, you get PK. But they wanted to implement the system in the Russian BDO, but I don't know what became wrong, but they just didn't. And it killed a lot of PvP on the Russian server just because we can actually kill 5 people, not more, and then we drop in chance. I'm okay with dropping in chance. The problem is that I'm the only one, or like 10 people or 20 people on the Russian server have been in PK, and well, losing chance while not being able to drop in chance on your enemy is like devastating and stuff. I actually hope that the European version is gonna have like a proper PK system where you actually, if you fight a guy and he answers you, he's also like PK'd and you won't get minus karma just because that's like a lot of fun missed just because of the minus karma. If I'm not mistaken, the Korean CBT 2 or 3, I don't remember, had a system that actually dropped enchants which were heralded safe enchantments. Like if you have 6 armor, you could drop it like any way you die. That doesn't matter if you're in minus karma or something. I would be okay with that, but they just removed the system. So yeah, I actually hope that NA and EU kind of, make up their own system, just because people want to PvP, obviously. So yeah.
All right, guys. So I'm going to roll and grab some questions from within the stream. Just to let you guys know, if you do have questions that you want to pose before our panel, let them be known inside the stream chat. We will be picking them out at random. We have people monitoring for that, and we'll be posing them. So the first question I got comes from Jesus333. What's the most efficient thing to do for NA release to take advantage of Head Start? Kinu, I'd like to start with you on this one.
Really, I think that's what you want to do in the game myself. But what I plan on doing is hitting 55 as fast and as soon as I can whenever I get into the Head Start. The reason being is so I can get there into my farming spots. I can start farming what I need, get the black stones, get the silver I need, get the items, the armor I need. So I can be that far ahead of people. So I can start off before anybody else and be able to complete things just a little bit easier than the others. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Not telling you that's what you should do, but that's my plan.
Zimmy or BTJ, what was soft cap before Media? Was it 50 or was
50.
It 51 or 52?
50.
50, yeah.
Okay, so on that, the cap's going to be at 50. I would say my advice would be to, get leveled as quickly as possible. Also, as you're going around, gather. Seriously. Use the energy that you get and pick weeds, pick this, pick whatever. Chop trees to start working up on your processing and leveling. That's going to be so important later on in the game, and trust me, you need those to be able to craft stuff that you're going to need. So I'd say a combination of doing those, then For me personally, I'll tell you what my strategy is going to be. I'm going to just get up to about Western Guard Camp. Then I'm going to go out and I'm going to level. I'm not going to do any of the guides that are out there because those are going to be overpopulated. I'm going to have my own spots. I'm going to shoot straight to 49.99 and I'm going to stay there. And I'm not going to do the quest to get to 50. And I want to do that and farm as many skill points as I can until it slows down. Once it slows down, then I'll hit 50. Then I will go back and I'll do all of the quests. There's a lot of quests that you get skill point rewards, your bag quest, etc., etc. I'm planning on getting extra inventory slots from the beginning, so that's not going to be a problem. Some extra weight capacity if they have the value pack, throw that on. But that's basically my plan and strategy for the first 4 days, and try to get some farms set up, stuff like that for passive income.
Yeah, all right. Well, yeah, that's pretty much what I would recommend to anyone. And a lot of people ask me, I would definitely recommend, like, if you're going to be competitive, and you need to hit 50 first. That needs to be your first priority before anything else. Get some of your Black Spirit quests done and stuff like that. But definitely get on your grind and get to 50 as fast as possible, and then you can go back and do your quests. Recently I've been actually leveling a second ranger, and on the KR servers, and that's actually kind of what I did was I leveled as fast as 50. Granted, I did get power leveled, but we're just going to ignore that fact. I wasn't doing a timed run or anything like that because obviously experience differences, but just kind of going through the motions of things. And it was definitely the best thing. Like, as soon as I hit 50, I started going back to doing the quests, and granted, my goal was to hit 55 instead of 50 because 55 is the soft cap for Korea, and so I hit 54, I believe, and then last night and the night before, I started going back and doing the quests and getting extra combat skill points that you can get from the Black Spirit quests and things like that, things that you would miss from just regular grinding up. So, and then after that, get your quests done and then start getting a base of operations set up to try to make that money as fast as possible. And I definitely recommend, also, at least this is what I'm going to do, is I'm not turning my computer off for 4 days. Guaranteed. When I'm sleeping, I'm still going to be running something in the background, whether it be fishing or, having my workers go or whatever it may be. I'm definitely going to have something running.
You turn your computer off? I don't understand this term.
I actually do. I do.
I don't understand this logic, sir.
I mean, I still got that mindset of make sure you turn your computer off because you need to reset your RAM. From like 10, 15 years ago.
Downloadram.com, bro.
Pointed up. Staying logged in. The other advice that I give people: if you just have the 4 character slots, make alts. Just make a name. You don't have to log in them, but make the alts. If you got extra character slots, make alts on those. The reason why, those will eventually be energy batteries for you. They will slowly regen energy, but you want those. Don't worry about the character customization or any of that crap. Just get the name, check the Zodiac, and boom, and then jump on your main and start rolling.
So, okay, but I have a different kind of start on the server, to be honest. Well, how it was in Russia. Like, everybody grinds to level 50 and then gears up, gets the questing jewelry that you get from the witch and the Shadow's Well, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that's right. Well, first of all, if you want to PvP in the game, you can actually just go grind yourself 51. You'll have enough skill points. For example, I play Sork and I just get like about 600 skill points, and that's probably enough for the first 2 or 3 weeks of the server. Yeah, so yeah, the first thing you're gonna do is grind like level 50, like everybody said. But then it depends on what you want to do. You can just earn money and then gear up, but I'd prefer to just grind mobs further and actually do the quest for the jewelry, just to have my attack stats more than other people. Because at the start of the server, it's gonna be like the person that has much more attack is gonna actually win all the PvPs. Like at the start of the server, doesn't matter how much armor you're gonna have. It can be plus 10. It's easy to get, like first 5 days or something. Well, it depends on what you want to do. I'm not like into PvE, to be honest. That's why I don't really mess up with gathering and stuff like that. But the previous starts on the server are also okay, so depends on what you want to do in the game. That's pretty much it.
Right. I'm going to move to another question here that was posed to us. Tamisha has asked, what do you suggest about how to cope with the first few days of the low-level areas being so full? Wah, 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 wah. Canoe?
Honestly, I look at beta for this right here. I'm not sure if we're going to have as many people as what we did in the beta. There may be more, there may be less. We're unsure right now. That'll be what we have there. My recommendation is, if you're going to get in there, the way I level is I like to do the quest till I get to 15. So I do the first couple, just real fast, so I can get a donkey. If you're actually going to go by the quest and grind that way, stay by one of the mobs that's your quest target. Just stay there. Don't move around. Don't try to fight for other mobs. Stay there, take control of that mob. You'll be done a lot faster than running from point to point to point, trying to get a mob. So for all the people that are going to be around there trying to take the mobs you're at, if you're doing quests, that's my suggestion. Now, if you're just going to go straight out grind, go somewhere else. Try to find a different area.
Yeah,
Okay.
100% agree on that.
Well, what I'd say, I want them to go back to the leveling curve of Korea. It's not that big of a, so somebody can grind and hit level 50 in under 24 hours. No big deal. The game starts after level 50. Make it to where PvP is blocked for anybody under 50 so they can get there safe. But just have the same curve. When they changed it, it screwed everything up with the quests. You couldn't get the quest at the time if that's the way that you wanted to play. It forced you to grind. So just take it back. It wasn't broken. So I don't know why they jacked with it, to be honest with you.
Well, I know during the Korean open beta when it started, it was a madhouse. It was a madhouse. I mean, it was so bad when the OBT started that they had to phase people out because that's how many people were playing. So they actually had a phasing kick in where you couldn't see all the people around you. Now, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but it was definitely there. And I remember, like, I was standing there. I had nothing. I knew nothing about the game. Everything was in Korean. There was no English patch back then. And I remember just watching mobs just randomly die, and I had no idea what was going on. And even if it's as big as it was in Korea at the start for Head Start, which I doubt it will be, but it may. It's still, you could just push through it. You can easily get ahead of the curve. Find some spots, kind of some offshoot spots that people aren't going. Because the one thing about players in general and gamers, or I wouldn't say gamers in general, but just players in general, is a lot of people are going to end up going to that center mass of people, and you're going to end up being able to find the little offshoots. And it may take you a little bit slower time to do it as if you were, if nobody was there. But I promise you, if you go to those different off sections, guaranteed you'll go faster than the mob itself, because most people will just sit there and try to fight over mobs from each other, and it's just it's ridiculous. And don't waste your time doing that. Go somewhere else. I promise you it'll be faster.
Well, there was slight, it was hard on Russia to level up higher than the curve than the soft cap, just because once you're level 50, it takes you about 12 hours or something without any buffs and stuff. Well, if you buy some items in the cash shop, it'll probably be like 8 hours or something. And you could level up 51, but you still had to spend a lot of money for the alien tiers, if I'm not mistaken. They're called like that. The consumables from the cash shop you use not to lose XP, just because, as I said, RU is full of PvP and pretty much is like PK PvP. So you always lose your enchantments, you always lose your XP and stuff. So that's why it was actually harder for us to get higher than the level curve. But we had a character, if I'm not mistaken, was like 3 weeks into the game, into the server started, and he was like 55. That was an archer. But to be honest, he was like playing 24/7. Like there was multiple people playing on his account. So yeah, that's how he got to 55. And then when Medea came out, GameNet actually screwed up the patch just because they set up Medea, but the soft cap became 60. So I was able to level up from 50 to 55 in 20 hours or something. And the next day they actually fixed the patch. and the people that didn't have time to play that day actually left the game just because they were okay. Like all the people leveled up in one day to 55. Now I have to spend like a month probably, or maybe even more, to level up to 55, and that was a huge mistake out of GameNet's part. I don't know how it's gonna be on EU, but I actually hope that nobody's gonna screw up the patch files, because that was a total failure. I mean, like, I don't know, a lot of people just left the game after that.
Right. I got lost for a second. Sorry, guys. Too much stuff going on. So moving into things, I'm gonna jump into another topic here, discussion. Daum has recently announced a merger with Ensign, new mobile gaming company. It might mean some new games, might mean some other things. What do you think the impact to BDO is going to be based on that? Zemi, let's start with you.
Oh man, this I'm a bit worried about this. I was actually reading up on some stuff and just my experiences. I am a bit worried about this because, and the reason being is because as some people know who played the KR version for quite a long time, they actually decided that they wanted to make the Korean version mobile gamer friendly. And obviously that became what it is today in the Korean version. To me, and I please understand when I say this is no disrespect to anyone at Dom at all. But to me, I felt that was a very poor decision due to lack of experience in the PC gaming world. And I am very afraid that with the combination of Ensign being another mobile gaming company, I don't know much about Ensign at all. In fact, I actually did some research before the show started. Now I don't know what kind of experience they have in the PC world, but I'm a bit worried in that. And I think that now I do know they're trying to expand, and I know they are trying to go for mobile or for multi-gaming sections. So they're not only just trying to do mobile, but they're trying to do PC, console, and everything else. In fact, they're really aiming to do a lot of South Eastern Asian stuff, as well as the Japan market and other stuff. So like I know where they're coming from. But at the same time, I am very, very worried about that. As a PC gamer, I don't want to see the same mistakes made on the Korean version towards the NA version. But on the other point, I really want to point this out, especially after what I said. Like, Dom Europe has done very good at listening to the community. And I've said this multiple times. You can call me a Joska fanboy or whatever, but Joska's done really, really good at listening to the community. He's been very, very active in the community. The other GMs have been very active within the community, and I think that's a good thing, and it does alleviate some of my worries about that.
I agree.
I'm just going to interrupt in that for 1 second. While we're on the topic of Joska, I got a little bit of a beef with him. I do. Homie, you ran up, you knifed me, and you ran away. What was with that? Come on. I've been waiting a week to get that out. Not cool, dude. Not cool. Stay and fight next time. Although, you one-shotted me, so fair enough. Hats off and everything. Sorry, Buzz. I had to get it out of me.
No problem. I agree with Zimmy that the interaction that Jessica's done on the forums has been really great, but the proof of the pudding is going to be in approximately 2 weeks when Balthazar updates his post after they get back from Korea, and the real test is going to be closed beta 2 and what changes they do. Are they going to address the energy system? Are they going to address all the things that we brought up with the leveling curve, etc.? If they just give us closed beta 2 same as closed beta 1, then I tell you, I'll be chicken little. They got the feedback from the alpha where we said, hey, the energy system is screwed up, it's costing for processing, and nothing was done. Now they've heard it in droves. But on the topic of the merge, my concern is that it will open up to what other mobile games are. That's, oh, here's a lottery box, and you buy them and you get a chance. Carrot Dash, anyone? And I think that they've already planned for that. If you've played the game, you know the frustration when you try to turn in a quest and you have an empty slot, but it says, no, you don't have any empty slots. Well, you remember the bug exploit back in Arcade, where when you opened up a box and you'd have the one item that could stack and just the one empty slot, and it would trick the game into doing it. They've already blocked that door, so that scares me in a sense. Are they planning on doing it? They did the cash shop lottery boxes for a short period of time on Korea, and then they took them off. That's my concern and direction. That are we going to get fed and forced into that little microtransaction, whether it be with energy? Oh, you're out of energy? Here, buy a bigger pot. It's only 50 cents. 50 cents, 50 cents, 50 cents, 50 cents, 50 cents. And then by the time the month is done, you're like, holy shit.
Get them Smurf berries, yo. You got to get them Smurf berries. They're only 99 cents.
Well, on the topic of the merge, I can say that I have actually no idea about the companies that merged, to be honest, but I can see like them willing to actually make some applications on maybe, you know, on phones or something like that, just so you could manage your workers and stuff. That would be actually awesome. I don't know if they're into it, but that would be like fabulous, just because I can be on my university or somewhere or just hanging out, but I can manage my workers, I can manage the auction house, for example, or even my energy points and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward for the merge, just because that's the main point, like that can actually affect the game. The like other stuff that they want to do, I don't think that will affect BDO at all.
Yeah, I actually want to go ahead and point that out real quick. So what a lot of people don't know is Dom actually does Kakao Talk. For anyone who doesn't know what Kakao Talk is, it is a very, very huge SMS messenger for mobile gaming. Or not for mobile gaming, for mobile devices, and it's also got a PC thing and everything, and it's a really good program. It's like Skype, but the Korean version, if you think about that, or the Korean version of Line, if anyone knows what Line is, that's the Japanese one. It's really good, and I think this could, with the merger, maybe they'll end up putting Kakao into the game, and things like that. So who knows? Like there could be some definite benefits to this, as well as what BTJ said with mobile, with maybe mobile apps and stuff like that for Black Desert. But there is that worry.
Yeah, I can totally see that. Well, a lot of what you guys has covered, it's been my concerns mainly. One thing about BTJ, it's been a long day.
Yeah.
Is the apps that they could put in the game. I mean, I think that would be a really cool thing to have. But if they did do something similar to like the workers, would that mean that you'd technically be logged on and the workers could actually start working then? That's the only thing I'd be wondering about. And then, for instance, if they threw in like an auction house system, you're going to have an issue with people just sitting by their phones constantly, sniping anything and everything that they've been wanting to, and no one has to move. True, you can do that while you're in game as well. Kind of defeats the purpose of an auction house in the game, going somewhere and doing it, I think. But I don't know. We'll see what they do with it. They already made the decision. They already went with it. So right now, all we can do is hope for the best that they won't mess anything up. And I don't think they will.
Now we'll see.
I'll be really interested to see the outcome of it. I'm getting mauled by a dog. Yeah.
It's a good looking pit.
Yeah, she's tiny though. She's a tiny, heavy fucking dog. I did it again. Bad. I'll be interested to see what comes out of it. I mean, I like full immersion. Like, I really do. I like the concept that there's a possibility somewhere out there that somebody may come and get us an app to do some cool shit inside of the game while we're away at work or away from our desk. I like that. I like the way that it works. I mean, I've seen some really cool apps that tie into games in the past. Even, I mean, look at Fallout. We'll use Fallout 4's Pip-Boy app. When it works, it was phenomenal. But yeah, it'll be a good thing to see. I'll be interested. Gonna jump back into some Q&A stuff. I feel like there's more questions to be answered. Let's just take a look and see here. All right. Uvami has asked, guilds can fight for nodes, right? How does that work? If a guild controls one, do normal players outside of the guild need to pay tax to get it in the town or something? BTJ, I'm going to start with you on this one.
Well, actually, no taxes are like no no people have to pay taxes like at all. No players pay taxes just because the money you get from the node capture is just like money out of nowhere. Like there is a certain bank of money for the whole server. For example, let's say it's the start of the server and we have Calfian, Belenis, and Serendia. If I'm not mistaken, that's the three territories. And there's like a huge bank of them. Like every mob is killed in the world is like 3 gold or something. If I'm not mistaken, I might be wrong on that. But there's total bank that actually is divided to every node there is. So for example, there are level 1, 2, and 3 nodes, and 24 hours passed and people grinded, let's say 200 million, for example. That 200 million is divided between the nodes, and the node income depends on its level. So yeah, that's pretty much it. One guild can actually hold a bunch of nodes. Our guild had like 6 nodes before we sieged the territory. If I'm not mistaken, the limit is 7. I don't know how it's in Korea though, and how it's gonna be on Europe, but in Russia the limit is 7. And you have to remember that the guild controlling a territory can't actually control a node, so you might as well be good with 7 nodes rather than 1 territory. Depends on what nodes you held.
All right. Buzz, I'm going to roll into you on this one.
About sieges and everything, yes, you can. And that's the one aspect of PvP that I am most interested in and enjoy the most, is whether it's a region siege or it's a node siege. The whole benefit is to generate revenue and income for the guild. So they'll be able to get money to pay their players and eventually get enough money to get a guild house and war elephants and all of that, and have their banner flying in town for the week. So yes, that to me that's the best part of the game and what I'm really looking forward to. That's the whole reason of doing the PvE and learning and crafting and everything else, is to be prepared to do that.
Just regarding the taxes, I guess, and stuff like that. You do get a discount for owning a territory, an actual territory. You will actually get a discount via the auction house guy. I don't know if that's still in effect since the. No, yeah, it should be.
It
Did they
doesn't
get
in
rid of it?
Russia. It doesn't in Russia, that's for sure, just because we had a territory. And oh, by the way, I forgot to say that Calfian can actually tax Belenis and Serendia like 50% of their taxes, is like maximum for Calfian, and once a week they get like wagons from the territories with the taxes, like it's about 2 billions or something, and all of the server can actually attack the wagons to get money.
Yeah, that's correct. It's Saturday sieges are on
Every
Saturday.
Friday.
Yeah, the sieges
Every
are on
Friday.
Saturday, and the wagons are on Friday, the day
Yep.
before the sieges. It's actually really good. Since the mega servers have gotten really huge, I think you get 2 million a swing or something like that, and it just turns into one gigantic, just crazy cluster of people just all trying to hit it, and people flagging up and killing each other, and
But it's
it
too
is
laggy, though.
crazy. It was pretty bad in the Korean version. We did it when we were taking over Belenos and stuff like that, because they basically run from one town to another, taking fairly long routes. It's pretty cool. And but they used to have it. Now I don't know if they'll implement this in the NA version. If you owned a territory, this was back when. Auction houses were based per city instead of worldwide, and you used to get a discount at taking money, like selling stuff from that specific actual auctioneer. So, and I
True.
believe it was like a 5 or 10% discount. I can't remember exactly.
was
So it was
5,
really,
if
really
I'm not
nice.
mistaken.
Yeah, I think it was 5. And another thing where guilds can actually control the taxes via the towns. Now, I'm not for sure. Once again, I don't know if that, since the mega server's been in place and things like that, I don't know if it still exists. But you used to be able to. I never raised it past 5%, but you could technically raise it to 10% taxes. So I think that was fairly cool. I mean, obviously, you wouldn't want to do that because then people would stop buying from that town, and therefore you get less money. So it was kind of a balance thing. And then nodes are the same thing. You do get tax money via the nodes, and it's going to be dependent on what nodes you actually do. So
Yeah. All right, next question we're going to pull today. Spin the wheel. Rennie Barr has asked, what do you think of the NAEU class balance? I am going to lead off with Buzz on this one.
I would say by and large, it's good. Mounted combat still has issues. I play a wizard, and coming from a wizard, it's broken. And I would prefer that they removed all mounted combat from the game until they properly balance the wizard on a horse. I think the last major balance pass that they did was back in June. So the majority of the classes that we have, with the exception of the wizard and the witch, were covered with that last major balance pass. Playing on KR, those additional classes, I'm really looking, and they need to have a major balance pass. I think they are possibly Prolobus is waiting until they finish all of the weapon awakenings, and then go through and do all of it. But for by and large, all of the classes that were available in closed beta are pretty well balanced. Now, some classes get stronger at different periods. Zemi, with the Ranger, they don't really start becoming strong until they get in their upper 30s. Berserker doesn't become strong until 48, and you get lucky to get the awakening on the spin to win. But by and large, like I said, I feel they're pretty well balanced.
Well, I don't know how it's going to be on the EU and the NA version, but our publisher actually sticks up with the balance patches like on Korea. For example, the balance patch on Korea is like the same on Russia, and always like something changed in Russia, or I mean something changes in Korea. The next day we have a patch like changing that on Russia. Well, about the balance, what can I say? Like Sorks and Valkyrie Zone. Hey, the Sork player, hey. But Rangers actually suffer from the last patches. That's sure is a concern just because the class actually dies off just because it's too vulnerable to every single class. But with all that said, I actually think everything is okay with the balance. Like playing Sork, obviously I can say that. And the Wizard combat on the horse is actually broken, so yeah, please don't use horses. Thank you.
yeah, no kidding. That's, I would say, my biggest thing is the mounted combat. The mounted combat is fairly broken at the moment, but it's even broken in Korea. And just like BTJ said, like NAEU will be on point with those types of number patches and number patches and stuff like that. So we will still have those fixes and those hot fixes coming into the NAEU, and them being pretty up to date. Wow. But so I think class balancing wise, this is one of the biggest reasons why a lot of veteran players from the KR disagree with PvP at low levels, is because as Buzz stated, the problem is some classes are just not good at low levels. For instance, Ranger. Ranger's a prime example. I play Ranger. Everybody knows I main a Ranger. We don't get strong until 37? 41. 41. 41 when we get the evasive shot, the extreme evasive shot. And we could probably pull it off at 37 when we start getting our HP to damage buff from our skills. But even then, we're not really that good until 41. Giants, for instance, they need the skills from the awakens, from the spin to win. Warriors, I believe it's like 36, I think I want to say.
It's
Maybe it's
37, like the
37 for the red
yeah, the
slash.
triple hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
The
37.
red slash, they don't get that. I mean, they're all right at the early ages, but once again, they don't get really strong until they hit 37. And one of the problems is the new classes, such as the Witch, the Wizard, the Valk. Storks are strong all the way up to 55. It doesn't really matter. But the Witch, the Wizard, and the Valk, they were built to be strong early on to catch up to the other classes. So that does have an issue with balancing at low levels. And once again, just like BTJ said, please fix the horse combat. I don't care if you don't disable it, but fix the Witch and Wizard, please.
Yeah, not really much else to cover here, but just end it basically with please fix the horse, like everybody says. Besides that, everything else I think has been covered on the balancing.
I vote we leave the horse just because I have to be different than all of you. I can't do it. All right, I'm going to roll into another question from Discomet. Discomet is asking for the pros and cons of the energy potions in the cash shop. I know this has been a heated topic lately. Buzz, I'm going to leave with you because I know that you got some input on this. And while we have BTJ here, I know that we want some feedback out of him on it. Let's get the ball rolling.
Okay, first off, bad. Energy potions, throttling energy the way that it is set on closed beta. On Korea, I've got 427 energy, and I was going through doing some of my life quests and getting, things to level up alchemy or whatnot. I was running low on energy there with 427 to start off. And that's not having to use energy on processing all the intermediate steps. That's just the gathering. I was burning through the energy. So if their solution to that problem is going to be, oh, here, just buy an energy potion, they are literally, flipping the bird to a segment of players that they just want to go out and gather, and they want to harvest, and they want to do crafting, and they're throttling them by that. That would be like, let me ask what the player base, what if they did, it costs you 1 energy point to loot every mob, or every mob that you kill and you get experience from costs you 1 energy. So, okay, you're out of energy, so now you got to sit around and wait for it to regen before you can go out and farm. That's basically what they're doing to people that want to craft. And they really need to reevaluate that because it's not fair and they're going to alienate a lot of people. Now, the question I wanted to ask you, BTJ, and you talked about, Russia does not have, they have that system where processing costs energy and everything costs energy. How has that affected Russia as far as, like, say, getting harvesting tools or to get materials to craft weapons or siege equipment or things like that?
Well, actually, it's fine on RU. The main concern is for me that processing actually costs energy. Without that, if like processing wouldn't cost energy, it would be totally fine. Like we don't have the in-game cash shop item for the energy boost, so you actually can't regen your points rather than just waiting or you're laying with your character on the bed that actually regens like 3 times faster or something. But it's okay on Russia. I mean, like you create or 5 or 6 alts and you're pretty fine. You just level up your energy till 250 plus and you're totally fine with that. Like the people who want to craft and want to gather and stuff, do some PvE stuff that costs energy, they just do it. They don't like feel a lot of energy lags. They're okay with that. But yeah, the processing is a bit painful though, but what can you do?
Well, I really don't want to see the energy potions in cash shop myself. I really don't want to see it. I've seen too many games that actually destroys myself. The only thing that I can say that would be interesting to see, I believe it was you, Zemi, who had this idea a while back, was an energy potion that you can craft that cost 10 labor to make a 10 labor, or 10 energy to make a 10 energy pot. Something like that I think would be an interesting way to put it in here. It'd be another quick fix on something like this to make it not so destructive, in my opinion. You can make it set so you can't sell it on the auction house, or you can. I'm not sure which would be better. You can make some money doing it that way, but in that sense, if you do it that way, you're probably going to have people making alt accounts, selling a whole bunch of stuff. I don't. That's the only thing I can think of doing anything with a potion for energy is making it so you can craft it.
Yeah, I definitely. I don't know. Personally, I know I'm the unpopular vote here of going. I think the vigor system is fine how it is, but I think it will only be fine as it is as long as there is no vigor potions on the cash shop. If they put vigor potions on the cash shop, it will destroy everything faster than what the selling the cash shop costumes is right now. It will be worse. Um, yeah, I mean, I believe it was 2 episodes ago that I was talking about that. I definitely
Yeah,
think that that maybe doing something like that where you could, for those people, like for instance me, I don't do a lot of processing, and the processing that I do, I just let my workers do it because I'm way too lazy to sit there and micromanage that crap. So I just throw my workers in. I know it's not the most efficient, but it doesn't matter as long as I got money coming in while I'm farming mobs. Um, so, I think being able to use my energy, maybe craft an energy potion and sell it in the auction house to make more money, hey, I'm down for that, and I think a lot of people would be. But obviously, it needs to be if you're going to craft a 10 energy pot, it's going to cost you 10 energy to do so. So you can't sit there and, I mean, basically, you are just selling one for one. But I think at the same time, and I've said this before, is I think that if they're going to change the vigor system back to processing, then to allow it to be like it is in the KR, I would like to see them fix some of the prices on some of the being able to make money, in the AFK style processing. I think it's a bit skewed at the moment.
I agree with what you're saying, Zemi, but it's like I said, they're blocking one play style. So imagine what it would be like I said, if you're out farming, you can only kill so many mobs and then you have to wait. The other whammy that they threw in on top of all of this was they increased the recipes, the materials that you need to craft items. So, for example, the weapons. If you looked at the materials required to craft a Uria weapon, there's nobody that's going to craft a Uria weapon in the game. Uh, Nobody's going to really craft any armor. It's more easy. It's easier and more efficient to go out and farm and get them than to try to acquire and get the materials for it. So I, I, I can't even say what were they thinking, because to me it looks like they weren't thinking when they threw these things together. It's like threw gas on an open fire.
Oh yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you that it does alienate the crafters, and I'm not saying that we should alienate the crafters, but I'm saying that the one of two ways to fix it is either do the energy thing where people can spend their money to buy energy from other players, which I think will allow them to be able to continue crafting the way they want to, or nerfing how much money you make via the AFK processing and stuff like that. Because when you combine it with people who farm, and then on top of the AFK processing, it will hurt the economy, and you just get a huge inflation of money.
Well, I think that the problem was that they were trying to solve, per the post of, was the ability to just craft food and potions nonstop. I agree, that needs to be addressed. So my solution would be, okay, make it to where that costs energy. If you're crafting a potion or you're crafting a food, then that takes the energy. But all of the intermediate steps of processing the potatoes into flour, the flour into dough, and those intermediate steps, that shouldn't cost any energy. Then as your skill increases in cooking and alchemy, you get more product. So that's the benefit of it, to where your return, that's when you start seeing the profit, when you hit expert and master level.
All right, I'm going to go and we're going to move on to the next question, ladies and gentlemen. Our next question comes to us from Black Cobalt 001. Can you grief in BDO, and what's your opinion on griefing if you can? Kinu, I'm going to let you roll with this one.
See, I'm kind of a mean guy, I guess, when it comes to griefing. You can grief in BDO, by the way. It's very easy and very plausible. I myself, I enjoy griefing once in a while, because I'm a complete dick, I guess you could say. but that's fine. Now, the way to fix the griefing thing, and the easiest way to grief someone, is basically steal their mobs. Go around, just steal everything. If you're a wizard, you're going to be a god at it. You'll get everything and kill everything. If that's causing you issues and you see they're in a guild, here comes the best thing about this game, Guild Wars. Declare war. Bring your guild. Start up a fun PvP adventure and have a good time with it. True griefers are assholes. We all know that. And all of us do it from time to time. But it's going to be in every game, and it's easy to do in every game. But there's simple ways to get rid of it.
Yeah, I will say you got to be a little bit unique on griefing in BDO. You can't just walk up to someone, kill them, gank them, gank them and camp them. Or at least not until a guild war happens. But you can definitely find some unique ways of griefing people, which is fun. I mean, I used to do an arcade all the time as a pirate. We'd find out ways of stopping people from doing their safe zone runs and stuff like that. But yeah, stealing mobs is a prime example. To be able to actually push people out and things like that, or grief them, get them very heated and angry, and hopefully if you're looking for a guild war, then that's what you go for. You try to push someone, push someone's buttons for them to declare on you, and then you can just turn around and go ham and sit there and camp them and do whatever, and then hopefully what it does is it turns into a huge GVG fight, and they will you'll get a nice PvP fight out of it.
Well, as far as on the subject of griefing, they penalize it with once you hit the negative karma, then people are very deterred to continue if they're just flagging up without a guild war. But I do want to say that every game needs a villain. That group, we've all played them, whether it was pirates or whatever else, and you think that, they're just there griefing, or every game needs the villain. So I don't get upset when they do it. It's, like I said, it's part of the game. Every game's had them.
I think there's always a very fine line you need to walk if you're gonna do that and play the villain. I mean, I'm not talking about being a complete and utter super scumbag and cheating and taking things out of the game and stuff like that. You definitely need to keep it in game, obviously, and there's definitely a fine line between being that guy, being that villain. I think it's an art form that you need to kind of master to be able to do it.
All right. I'm going to move into the next one that we've got on the docket. The Dragnix asked, does gear change the way you play your class? For example, like in Diablo. Buzz, I'm going to let you lead on that.
Okay, does gear change the way you play your class? Yes, to a certain degree and extent. With armor sets, for example, they all have different bonuses and effects, and you need to kind of figure out what set is best for your class. Once meta is released and we get the Grineer armor, that's always the best set to at least have one of those sets, because at worst it's the second best armor that you can have. It's the best for a lot of classes, but the reason why is it has 2 gem slots, so you're able to modify it and make it better. That gives you an extra 100 hit points, so that's really good for a ranger because they have attacks that do that. Now you have rotary steel or steel tortoise or whatever it's called now. It's a lighter weight, but it increases your mana pool, so that sets a little bit better for your wizards because they have abilities that increase damage based off their total mana pool. Then you have other set that will give you extra stamina. So classes like Tamer or Sork, possibly, classes that are doing a lot of evading and iframes to mitigate their damage. That's a set that they would look at and be interested in. But it doesn't mean that they can play with a different. They just have to adjust their play style.
Yeah. So I think. I wouldn't say that gear itself changes the way you play your class. I do think that there are sets that are kind of designed toward builds, like I wouldn't say builds, towards each class. And I think now the reason why it changes for the most part is people find the new metagame, and they will always find the new metagame. I remember Rangers at the beginning used to run full Talia set. And they run full Talia set, and then for the movement speed, because especially back then, because there was a bug with Rangers where you got one shot by literally everything. They had the worst defense of the game, and uh, then they switched to the heavy set, and then that was a full heavy set, and then they switched. They found another meta thing, because that's when they found out about Q and shift Q and things like that, and then they switched to the 3-piece heavy set and Xerath boots, and now they can do Q and shift Q more and stuff like that. So I think the gear just changes via the meta, and it doesn't really change the class itself. It's changing how people realize how the game works, and realize how the skills work and how they can combine them with everything.
Well, that answers that. All right, guys, it has been an awesome show. I thank you guys all for showing up. BTJ, thank you very much for joining us on this panel.
It was a pleasure.
It was awesome, man. Thank you.
I want to say thank you to everybody who took the time out of their day to come in and join us. Thank you to everyone who hosts us religiously every week. You guys know who you are. You rock. Without you guys, it doesn't make things happen. You've been watching Tome Talk, sponsored and brought to you by blackdeserttome.com. If we didn't get to your question today, hey, guess what? We may make it a topic for next week's show, or you can go over to the forums at blackdeserttome.com, pop them in there. Make sure you throw your suggestions and topics you want to see covered by us in there. We do have somebody who watches that for us. We'll see you guys next week. Rock on. Thank you very much.
See you guys.